by a mother, entrepreneur, and computer scientist, working for the last 12 years or so with IBM, with a strong passion for local farming. She was born and raised on a farm in Romania and came to the U.S. 20 years ago pursuing a career in computer science. In 2011, she listened to her heart and founded California Passport Tours, offering day trips to wineries, farms, and outdoor activities in the Valley of Hearts Delight. And I wanted to say that Anna also has just joined our effort in the Coyote Valley, and she'll be the managing program project director, for an initiative we're calling Discover Coyote Valley, which I'll mention briefly at the end of our conversation today. Sadie Clemens is with CAF, the Regional Food System Manager for the Community Alliance for Family Farmers, and a nonprofit organization that advocates for California family farms and sustainable agriculture. Sadie oversees Farm to School and Farm to Market Tools and Services program in the Central Coast and Santa Clara Valley region, including Santa Cruz, Monterey, Santa Clara, and San Benito counties. Oh, that's a big territory. She's been working in the local food system and agriculture field in Oregon and California for the past 12 years. And also joining us is John Horner, who's the president and CEO of the Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce, and also the owner of a toy store in town called Thinker Toys. So, what time is it now? It's, I think,
it is 2:30.
2:30-ish. So, we're going to, maybe tighten up this last panel a little bit. Lisa will moderate, everyone will talk a little bit, and we'll sort of make it interactive, get you out of here in good time. So, thank you so much.
All right, so I'm going to change my hats here. I am going to kind of step in as the chairperson for the Agritourism Committee of the Morgan Hill Tourism Alliance. So with that, I wanted to just remind you that a lot of successful businesses, especially in the farming industry and what we're all trying to do here, comes along with being connected and connecting with each other and connecting with your community. And I think that is going to play a big part in your success. So, sharing resources, leveraging partnerships is something that the panel is going to talk about, and to try to engage with your community, and that way you can figure out, what resources there are available and what these different organizations have to offer, because I've worked with all of these folks in different ways, and there's a lot of great resources out there that can help your business, and so that you can give back and help each other. So what I'm going to do is we'll start with John first, and we'll work this way, and each of you will talk a little bit about your organization and what you can offer these folks.
Great, thank you. So John Hunter, just back to the earlier comment, I'm trained as an engineer, but I can be damn funny. So there. I've been president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce for about a year, and I come to it as a business person with a passion for businesses on the broadest scope as vital, vibrant members of the community. I like to say it's important for businesses not just to focus on the simple self-interest. Simple self-interest is how much can I get from me and how fast can I get it. But enlightened self-interest is the broader, how can I be successful but be part of a healthy community. And that's what a good Chamber of Commerce is really all about, is being the place where the businesses of the community come together for mutual aid. That tends to fall in a number of broad categories, but the one particularly smaller businesses tend to be most interested in is promotion. How do you help me find more customers? And as important as social media is, radio didn't eliminate newspapers, television didn't eliminate radio, the internet didn't eliminate television, social media didn't eliminate websites. And part of why I asked the question, the sad fact is you have to figure out how to do it all, or at least in the range of it all, what's appropriate. And part of that is this kind of old-fashioned human connection. Why isn't this a webinar with all of us sitting in our tubes, right? I mean, there are some conferences done that way, and yet, in my experience, this actual real people, the side conversations, all that have value. So, besides, we have morganhill.org, our website. The Quiet Months runs 10 to 20,000 visitors a month looking for things to do in Morgan Hill. When we get to our big events, it might be 50,000 or more. and having your organization be one of the member pages on there is yet one more thing that helps you with the spiders, and it'll be linked into your YouTube page. So so we're doing that, but our the Morgan Hill Chamber has been around 54 years, and the job just gets more and more complicated. 54 years ago, it's like, what's our media image? Well, you really had to care about what's the newspaper saying about you. That's all there was. Today, as businesses, you have to do it all. So we work a lot on helping people promote their businesses and network with other businesses for mutual aid. Another big part, people raise the issue of government advocacy. That's a big part of what chambers do. We have the connections. We know the people. You come to us with, hey, I'm having this problem with this permit or whatever. Well, if we don't call elected officials on everything, we say, yeah, this is something Wasserman's going to want to hear about, and we can get to him straight away because we kind of pre-collect and pre-filter. So being your advocate to government is a big part of what we do. Information and education is a huge part of what we do, and then a lot of our effort right now is around creating special purpose coalitions. Like one of the pieces of literature back there, Morgan Hill Presents, is a group we just put together this year that brings all the major event organizers from Morgan Hill together for mutual aid and mutual information and assistance. So Mushroom Mardi Gras, the Freedom Fest Festival, and the Taste of Morgan Hill, Wildflower Run, all these different things, they all have different organizations that actually create them. We said, well, we need a place for those people to come together to be more effective and more productive. So that's a big part of it, to bring people together. And there's some literature back there if you want some information. And still monthly print newsletter, which we also send out by email and also post online, and also take pieces of it and put on Facebook. Like I said, you have to do it all, and we're working on to get it better doing it all. We're here for you. Thank you. Sorry, I hope it wasn't too long.
Hi everybody, my name is Sadie Clements. I work with the Community Alliance of Family Farmers. We are a statewide organization, but we have 5 regional offices. We have one here down in Gilroy, over in Watsonville are the 2 closest to this area. We've been around for 35 years. We're a farmer member organization. We're also a business member organization. And the program work that we do out of each of our regional offices is both our Farm to School program, where we're putting education in the classroom around kids knowing who their farmer is, a Harvest of the Month program where they're tasting locally, we buy the produce from our growers and put it into the classrooms and into the cafeteria. We work with food service directors on buying the local product to highlight in their cafeterias. We also have our Farm to Market Tools and Services program, and that's where we're working with the growers to put growers into new market channels, whether that's selling to a produce wholesaler, to restaurants, hospitals, tech companies now have these campuses with all this food service going on the campuses. Within that program, though, we have our Buy Fresh, Buy Local agriculture marketing campaign, and that's this logo here. And with our Buy Fresh, Buy Local campaign, what we're trying to do is really drive consumers to see a label and know that the business that has that on their window has been sourcing from somebody in the community, from a farmer in the community. And you can trust in the label to be able to ask the business owner, oh, you buy fresh, you buy local, who's your grower? We really work with those business members to highlight that farm name somewhere either on their menu. If it's a grocery store, we create profiles for them. It's really all about telling the story of the grower. It's a way for us to ensure that our growers maintain some level of economic viability. We want to drive the 1 million+ people in Silicon Valley to both the acknowledgement that Gilroy's in this county, because everybody forgets, and that there is a South County. We want them to use their dollars towards local agriculture and remind folks that agriculture exists here in the Valley, and it was here before they probably were here. We also do other promotional things for our grower base, and that's through our Buy Fresh, Buy Local guide. Our Farm to Market coordinator, Rosemary Quinn, back here with the red hair, she does all the things that I'm talking about. That's her job, where she's brokering in these sales to buyers, connecting our growers with buyers, but also putting out our Buy Fresh, Buy Local guide. And we've actually never specifically highlighted Santa Clara Valley. This will be our first year where we do. We've always given Santa Clara Valley a little page in our other guides. But we really are ramping up this year to highlight San Benito and Santa Clara County. And this is a guide that it's paper, and I know, and people always ask us, you're in the Silicon Valley and you're going to use paper? Like, yeah, we still use paper. We do have a Facebook page, a lot of likes, we have some friends. But we print about 10,000 copies, and we put them all around the region. And in it is highlighting the farmers who are in our area, because people want to know. Like, people really do want to know the story. They want to know, can I come visit the farms? Like, it's pretty unbelievable how many people ask us, can I go visit that farm? I want to take my kids down there. You know, like I said to somebody earlier, you're hanging out in your suburb, you want to do something, you know? You've been to Target 100 times. You want to, like, enrich your child's life with some dirt, you know? Like, get them out there. So, that's my opinion. But this is a way to highlight both the growers in our region, but also those buyers, those businesses who said, I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to maybe even spend a little bit more money on buying something from a local grower in the Santa Clara Valley, even though I could have just gone to Costco or could have bought my produce from a wholesaler where they don't label where the farm name is coming from. And so this will be something that we'll have out hopefully in June-ish, July, again, to drive consumers either down to your farm, to highlight your agritourism operation, or if you're a member, just to say that you are a farmer here and kind of tell your story. It's a great resource along with, like, the country crossroads. Like, maps like that are things that we want to tell our consumers about. I think it was this morning one of the growers was saying, you've really got to work with all the ag partners in the region because it's a dying breed, you know, we've got to stick together. So, you know, CAF works a lot with the Farm Bureau, with SAGE, with all these other ag organizations in the area, because we really do want to drive our community towards agriculture and the importance of agriculture. I guess lastly, we also do, over the years in our other regions where we've done a lot of Buy Fresh, Buy Local campaign work, we do a lot of farm to table events with our growers, and we'll be doing one up in September at Alameda Farm, and Farm Bureau has started to do a farm to table dinner, and it's been crazy. Like, people are asking for these dinners left and right. You know, we were like, "Ooh, can we do? Is it going to be bad if we do 2?" You know, no. People are asking for that.
$100 a plate, they sell out.
And they sell out.
And they sell out. And Sabella's going to be doing these really cool agritourism.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No,
She'll
please.
articulate it better. It's really cool things to drive people down to South County, and it's exciting because we want to get everybody down past the edge line of San Jose and, like, really bring them into
Burnell Road.
past what?
Burnell Road.
Yeah, past Burnell Road. Yeah, we should have a contest. How many people we can get past Burnell Road?
A little ticker up there.
Yeah, they get a prize. So yeah, we're here for the growers, and we're here for also to make sure the consumers know what local means, who those local growers are, so they can put their money behind you all.
Well, hello everybody. So my name is Alameda, and I started California Passport 2 years ago here in Northern Hill. I lived here for almost 12 years. This is the place where we bought our first house. I live here with my husband and my son, my 9-year-old son. I came from Romania 20 years ago, and I worked since in computer business. But California Passport was started, and it's something organically coming out from this passion that I've had for travel and for constantly discovering things. So what we do with California Passport is offering local day trips that are about discovering and honoring the places and the people that we have around here. So that is the key focus. And for me, this business has been something that's been a discovery journey in itself. I'm constantly learning new faces, new places, and to me that's the most rewarding thing that I can have. About myself, as I mentioned, I grew up on my grandmother's farm, so I'm extremely close in my heart, and with this business I'm feeling coming back to my roots, but I grew up working hard on a land and a farm that we had in Romania, which was a very rare thing. Most of our property, my family property, was taken away. And it happened that the pieces of land that we had were in hillside area that remind me a little bit of this hillside. And we were lucky that way that we still were left with, I think, 5 or 6 acres of land, which was a lot. We had an apple orchard, and we grew pigs, cows. We had over 4 cows, 6 pigs, chickens, plenty. We never ever bought food when I grew up, and that was tremendous. I did not realize at that time it was just something. I knew it was special because a lot of other people stayed in lines or did not have food, or they had to wait for their rationalized food. So it was special, and that thing stayed with me all my life. I mean, that was something, being able to work and go and have your own food and give it, not being able to depend on anything. That was tremendous. But the other thing that I mentioned to you, Lisa, was that this grandmother that I have, mind you, both my parents were teachers. Very rarely they had time for farming, but me and my sister, we were sent out. All our vacations or all our times were sent out to my grandma, and this woman, I think, is the best CEO that I've ever met. She would know how to organize the work on the farm. She would know who to call, who to help. She would know how to have every task all planned ahead. And we grew our own corn and potatoes. Those were the things that we had to go out in the fields and work on. Again, I think with California Passport, after 20 years of being heads down and writing programs to analyze things and to do computer things, heads down there, now I'm feeling totally awakened up on a discovery that's so different, and it's truly getting me back to where I was coming from, and where else than this Morgan Hill, which is tremendous. One thing that I want to say over and over again is that the minute I started the business and I joined the Chamber of Commerce, the support that I got from the community was absolutely outstanding. And there was one of the calls that I think I had with Jen. I never used her services, but just calling her and saying, "Oh, this is a good idea. Go ahead, just do it." Whoa, that was so powerful, and that was the type of thing that I absolutely cherished, and it's towards my journey of discoveries of more amazing people that we have.
Great. So I'm gonna do a little role playing here. So I'm a new farmer. I really am.
Not
so much a
stretch.
And I'm getting ready to put on my first event or my first tour, and I come to each of you and ask, how do I engage with you, and what do you recommend that I first do? What do you recommend I do first? You're all very different. You all have very different organizations.
I'll go first. So if you came to me with that, first questions I would have are, what do you want to do? Where do you want to do it? When do you want to do it? How many people is it going to take for it to be a success? So really, scope out the details, and then we would talk from there, based on, okay, here's what I know as a chamber, here's how we can help promote you, here's some other resources I know you ought to maybe go to, and I'll probably ask questions, and have you covered insurance? Are you incorporated? Just kind of tend to first ask foundational questions. Do you have your kind of act together? It's amazing how people, I want to do this thing. What is this thing? I don't know. So that would be the first place I would start, is try to make it concrete. What, when, where, who are you going to charge? All these kind of, how do you make it a real thing? And do you have your ducks in a row? And how do you protect yourself from downside risk? And where do you want to go, and how can you help? That's how I would start the dialogue.
And then as the chamber, how what would the chamber, what service or what would they be able to provide to somebody who, once they've answered all those questions, do they help promote? Do they?
Sure, yeah, I mean, we help promote it. You know, we can't promote every event every one of 500 members is doing. We do the best we can that way, so sometimes we tap into resources, and a lot of it is providing connections, particularly if it's something interesting. You know, we have great relationships with the local newspapers, some of the local bloggers, that sort of thing. So again, there's not a cookie cutter answer to that. You know, anybody that wants to do something gets an email blast, you know, it's not bad. So it has to be somewhat customized, and we're looking for, you know, to our membership, what's interesting and valuable to them. But, you know, if it has broad community interest and other things, we put on the Friday Night Music series down here right behind us every Friday night all summer long. So any member, you know, you say, hey, you know, bring a table, bring a tent, get out there. There'll be 500 to 2,000 people out there. You can tell them about what you have going on. But one of the most important things is we're kind of a switching station, try to direct you to the appropriate resources to do whatever your next step. We might say, hey, you know, you need to call SBDC and get your plan together, or SCORE is another free consulting thing. So it all depends.
What we would do, first well, Lisa's a member of the organization, so I would be excited. Hey, great, what is it? We'll put it on our calendar, come in, I'll see you then.
They did. When I had our Coop to Hill thing, they did.
So with all of our members, they each have their own Facebook album on our page, so it would be a time for us to really do social media promotion for our growers on our Facebook page, on our Constant Contact newsletters that we send out statewide and regionally. We would contact our business members because, you know, if we have Google or Apple, they're wanting to buy local and products, so sometimes they'll want to know, well, what's going on, like, can our employees do anything with you guys? So it's a way for us to contact our business members and say, this is a really cool event coming up. Can you put a flyer in the grocery store? Can you send out a blast on your TV station that you have internally within your tech company or something like that? We would also, you know, make sure that you know to call the Farm Bureau so they can get in their newsletter and talk to all of our other ag partners in the region. We sit on a Food System Alliance, which is a group of anyone who's working with food system work in the county. So we would make sure that it got blasted out to all of those partners so they can put it out on their networks. I would ask about, we have a on-farm food safety manager who works with all of our growers. So if you have questions like, I'm going to serve food, or I'm going to have kids over in this area, she could come out and just kind of assess the farm, not necessarily on like details of, you know, you're going to need insurance for this X, Y, and Z, but she might just be able to give you some background on food safety stuff that you want to be aware of. We used to run a program called Know Your Farmer, where we bring a lot of kids down to the farms. We still run it up in our North Coast office, but you know, if you have questions around, I'm about to have all these kids come onto my farm, what do I need? We could connect you with my coworker who does these Know Your Farmer programs where the kids are on the farm. But you guys had great resources here today too that you could contact. And then the day of the event, we would just make sure it was up on all of our social media pages and get there so we could take photos. And while we were there, we'd be Facebooking. This is such a fun event. We love being here, and sharing those photos and things like that. And then we would put it in our newsletter as the next month when we send it out. So I like to do that.
That's everything is great, and I can relate to that. What we'll do, we specialize in small private type of events, and our groups are between 10 to 15 people. That's the size that we are working with, and the emphasis is on the experience. So we will talk a lot about what exactly we want people to remember, what exactly we want to have out of, how to make the most of this really good experience. It has to be something that's one of a kind at all times. So that's the approach, and that's where my effort is at all times. And that depends a lot for each business. So we like a lot to think about food options is something we can have food on site, it's something we can combine with other trips, or is something over there only that we can just make it special. And then the other aspect that came, and we come also as part of this discussion, it's important, I think, it's going to be a partnership, and we do have insurance coverage, and it's going to be just that conversation on how to make it for you as convenient and as pleasant as possible as a host, and how we can co-host this whole event together, and what the strengths are. So in other words, it has to be a lot of history, it has to be some education. Penny touched on some of those, but how can we share and combine some of these elements that at the end of the day it's a truly special experience.
Good. So are there certain times of the year that are more challenging? For example, are there certain times of year where there's big events that we want to avoid? Like, for example, if we've got Mushroom Mardi Gras going on, I probably don't want to be doing a farm tour because of the traffic, or because, you know, not as many people might come because of that. Is there a certain time or a way to find out what those big events would be to avoid?
Certainly between the Morgan Hill and Gilroy Chamber calendars. So Morgan Hill's calendar is at morganhill.org and Gilroy's at gilroy.org. Easy to find. So two quick places you can take a look at any of the major events going on there will be covered. Other than really big events that might mess up your traffic and whatnot, it's a little maybe counterintuitive, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. We're in this area has, what, 3 to 4 million people, you know, between Napa and Monterey. So for most events, you're talking about a few dozen to a few hundred people you're trying to get to your thing. So it's not, you know, so I hear, it's like, well, you can't have that dinner at the same time this thing is going on. It's like each one attracts 100 people. So unless it's the exact same group, I wouldn't worry about it too much other than really big stuff. Like I wouldn't put something out next to the, well, Fry's isn't going to be here this year, but in a few years, Fry's will be back over at the Mass Center. So, you know, if you need hotels and things, I'd watch out for the really big events. Other than that, pick the time of year that fits with your thing and do your promotion, and don't worry about it too much. It's my advice. Unless it's directly competitive. Like if somebody else is running, you know, a farm tour that weekend, you know, focused on all the hooved animals, you know, sheep, goats, and whatever, and you're trying to do a chicken tour, you know, at the same time, maybe that's not a good idea. So if it's a micro niche that's competing, but other than that, I wouldn't worry about it. I don't know.
I would mostly agree with that too. I mean, I was always, when we got our office in Gilroy, you don't do anything on Garlic Festival.
Well, yeah, because you can't move.
Because you can't move. So I would say that. But I know when we work with our schools in October, things are crazy, and it's hard to get parents to be able to, like, they're still getting oriented to being the kids back in school. So it's a little crazy then, I would say. And it seems like all the parents are looking for something right around June. Like, what am I going to do with these kids all summer? So it could be a good time to have your farm open.
Yeah, same here. I think there are two things the way I see it. I think depending on the places that you go to, I think if there is a place like yours that maybe needs more traffic, I mean, tapping into these other audiences, I mean, they're coming for a certain purpose, but maybe they would be interested in kind of at least having them aware of what else is going on. That never hurts. But also the point that maybe some places would need more of that. And there are some wineries that are getting very busy, and that's another aspect that I'm paying a lot of attention. I mean, this is a small community. These are small farms. We want to keep it that way. We don't want to come in with a lot of crowds. It's not something. But and if you bring in people, it has to be a place at times where the farms and respect pretty much the schedule of the farmers and respect the time that they want to commit to entertain and be there for somebody. So that's of a key importance, and finding out how to balance that. That's very important. And then sometimes, as I said, so if it's too crowded, if it's too busy, then you find ways to avoid that. I think it's always the case. It's better busy than not busy.